$2.5 trillion. That's the estimated annual hit to the global economy if the chip supply out of Taiwan gets seriously disrupted. Not from a war, not from an invasion, just a sustained blockade. That's it. No phones, no AI, no cars, no modern defense systems. And here's the thing, 92% of the world's most advanced chips come from one island, one company, one strait that's been described as the most dangerous geopolitical flashpoint on Earth. What happens when the world finally realizes it put all its chips in one basket? One company thinks it has the answer, and most people have never heard of it. Over 90% of leading-edge chips, the kind powering AI servers, smartphones, and military hardware, are made by essentially two companies, TSMC and Samsung. TSMC alone controls more than 60% of global foundry revenue. For decades, that concentration was treated as efficiency. Why build fabs everywhere when one place does it better? The logic made sense, until it didn't. The 2020 chip shortage made it undeniable. A pandemic plus a drought in Taiwan, not a war, just those two things, cascaded through the global economy. A new Ford F-150 sat engineless on the lot because of a missing $5 chip. Car factories shut. Hospitals delayed life-saving equipment. The world discovered its most critical industrial input had no backup. The US responded with $52.7 billion through the CHIPS Act. The EU launched its own program, and Japan went furthest proportionally, committing 0.71% of its entire GDP, more than the US, Germany, or France. This isn't nostalgia. This is national security policy dressed in silicon. Now here's where most coverage on Japan gets it wrong. The standard story: Japan dominated chips in the 80s, lost everything, and is now desperately clawing its way back. But Japan never actually lost the supply chain. While TSMC took fabrication and Samsung took memory, Japanese companies quietly became the invisible backbone every advanced chip maker depends on, including TSMC itself. Shin-Etsu Chemical and SUMCO hold roughly 60% of the global silicon wafer market. Think of a wafer like a vinyl record, except instead of music, you're pressing billions of transistors onto it. Without Japanese wafers, TSMC's fabs stop, full stop. Four Japanese companies control around 87% of the photoresist used in advanced chip making, the light-sensitive coating that lets circuit patterns be printed onto silicon. Tokyo Electron holds close to 100% of the global market for the coater equipment used in EUV lithography, the most advanced chip printing technology that exists. Japan is the world's largest supplier of semiconductor materials overall, more than 50% share across 14 of the most critical categories. Japan didn't lose semiconductors. It stepped back from the visible part while quietly controlling the infrastructure underneath. The question now is whether it can move back up the chain. So if the world is so worried about concentration, why hasn't anyone just built a second TSMC? Because it's almost impossibly hard. TSMC has been perfecting its clean room environment for over 30 years, 500 plus customers, 3 decades of yield learning, a supplier ecosystem so intertwined that moving one piece risks breaking the whole machine, and something harder to replicate than any of that, a culture where engineers treat a fraction of a percent yield improvement as a personal victory. You can copy the equipment list, you can license the architecture, you cannot copy 30 years of compounded institutional knowledge. That's the wall every challenger faces, and it's the wall Rapidus is now running directly at. Founded in 2022, backed by the Japanese government, Toyota, Sony, SoftBank, Canon, Fujitsu, and 32 other companies, its goal is audacious: manufacture 2nm chips in Japan by 2027, the same node TSMC only entered high-volume production on in late 2025. Now, government-backed chip projects have a poor track record. Europe tried, the Soviet Union tried, So why are people taking this one seriously? Because unlike most government bets, Rapidus isn't starting from zero. It has money, it has technology. Rather than spending a decade from scratch, Rapidus partnered with IBM, the company that built the world's first 2-nanometer chip prototype in 2021. Japanese engineers embedded with IBM in Albany. IBM engineers are now in Hokkaido. The knowledge transfer went both ways, and it has an ecosystem waiting for it when Rapidus announced its Chaito's fab, ASML, committed to a local service center next door. Suppliers follow anchor tenants. Japan's materials dominance pulls the whole ecosystem inward. The pilot line opened in April 2025. By July, Rapidus confirmed working 2-nanometer GAA transistors, a transistor architecture that delivers better control and lower power than previous designs. Over 60 potential customers are in active discussions. Mass production is targeted for 2027. Here's where it gets honest though, because there's a real gap between working prototype and trusted global foundry. 3 things will decide whether Rapidus makes it. Imagine baking 300 cookies and only 40 come out edible. That's what early yield looks like at a new process node. It improves over months and years, but until it does, the economics don't work. TSMC's real advantage isn't just printing 2-nanometer circuits, it's printing them reliably, at scale. Rapidus has working transistors on a test wafer. That's not the same thing. The company has publicly acknowledged yield is the defining challenge between now and 2027. A foundry with no committed customers is just a very clean and very expensive building. Over 60 prospects sounds impressive, but prospects and signed agreements are different things. One tape-out at 2 nanometers costs tens of millions of dollars. No chip designer hands that to an unproven foundry without hard evidence. Rapidus's pitch is speed. Single wafer processing offers a 50-day turnaround versus several months at batch-based fabs. Valuable, but it still needs to hold up at production scale. This is the one that keeps investors up at night. Full mass production requires an estimated 4 trillion yen. About 1.7 trillion is committed so far. Japan keeps approving new tranches, most recently in April 2026. But the gap is real, and the clock is running. The economics only close if AI customers pay enough per wafer to justify the whole structure. So look, the technology is progressing, the funding keeps arriving, and because Japan already controls the upstream supply chain, wafers, chemicals, and equipment are all domestic. But the real competition for Rapidus isn't TSMC's process node, it's trust. TSMC didn't become dominant because it was first. It became dominant by spending 3 decades proving, chip after chip, node after node, that it could be trusted with the world's most valuable intellectual property. That took 30 years. Rapidus is asking the world's most demanding chip designers to hand over that same trust now, at 2 nanometers, with 4 years of history. The fab exists. The transistors are working, but whether that's enough comes down to one thing: time. And by 2027, we'll have an answer.